Well, thank you very much for joining us. Nicholas Basta is with us right now. He is the Multimedia Coordinator for Alternatives in Action. And we're about to find out more about that right now. Nicholas, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
This is helping youth. I know that. Helping young people. You got involved in that. How did you get started in that?
I started when I was in college doing a kind of work-study teaching program, and I've been with Alternatives in Action for about 4 years now. It's my 4th year involved with Alternatives in Action, which is our big
The
premier
goal
film
now,
festival.
being a multimedia coordinator means you're coordinating multimedia.
It does. I mean, so
See how I figured that out right away?
You know, it's a little straightforward, right? So I mean, in addition to teaching during the school day and after school, I coordinate the multimedia programming at our 3 different after-school sites for Alternatives in Action.
I see. When you say different school sites, what does that mean? Different? You actually go to the different schools, or?
We have staff at 3 different schools in Oakland. It's McClymonds High School, Life Academy of Health and Bioscience, and Fremont High School, as well as our pilot school, which is Alternatives in Action High School in Alameda. That's where I work.
What are the goals involved in this?
Our big goal is to prepare youth for college, career, and community. So whether they're college-bound, career-bound, or whether we just want them to be able to kind of exist as an upstanding citizen in society.
Okay, what happens at one of those meetings?
One of the meetings?
Or when you get together, when you go to one of the schools, what happens?
Well, it started as an after-school program. So we teach in multimedia, the arts, as well as we have the legal studies program. So it's an after-school program, basically.
Okay, so you're teaching the physical, you're shooting. You're a shooter, you film, you know, whatever it is, and not film so much anymore, as you mentioned. What kind of media do you work in?
My specialty is sound, but I also work in video. And so I teach sound and video production as well as event production, which is one of our big elements of the community impact projects, doing these projects that are kind of about addressing some issue in the community that the youth have brought up as something they're interested in.
Who decides the format? Who decides the content of the material that's made?
It's really steered by youth. We have a model which we call co-creation, so it's working hand-in-hand, adult and youth, always kind of pushing what the youth are interested in, but guided by a professional.
And what are you finding out about youth when you do this kind of project?
We find out a lot of different things. Every youth is kind of an individual. But I think one thing that we find out is just how hardworking and talented and kind of how aware youth are about the different issues in our community. I think that they're many times the most prepared to speak on some of the issues that we're addressed with, just because they're dealing with it every day in their regular life.
Are you surprised by that?
No, not at all. I mean, I think I started doing youth work when I was a youth. I started teaching when I was 19, so it's not something that's ever been too far from my understanding.
Yeah, okay. So when people come to you, what happens?
When people come to my class, there's a whole different thing. So I teach a sound recording studio class where we produce music, we're producing a radio show and doing a whole kind of campaign around health and youth addressing health. I also have another class that's event production. In event production, we kind of produce different events in our community as well as helping to support other events through video production, and you know, the students kind of make documentary videos of these different events we're involved in.
Okay, now that sounds like a fairly extensive kind of project. Are there other people working with you on something like this? Or are you a one-man gang teaching all those things at the same time?
So part of our model at Alternatives in Action is we have something called youth coaches, and so Mary, who was our student that we had interviewed earlier, she's a youth coach, and so what that means is they're basically youth staff that work with adults, and they're kind of we have this model of cascading leadership. So an adult will kind of pour information into a youth coach, and then they kind of disperse that to the rest of the class. So using kind of youth as allies to help bring in other students.
Okay, Nicholas, nice to have you here. Nicholas Basta has been our guest, and he is with Alternatives in Action. Thank you very much for joining us.